Thanks for staying with us. It's still IBrandTV, and let's delve into the conversation for the day. Now, a 7-story building under construction in the Lekki area of Lagos is reported to have collapsed on Sunday morning, with 2 people confirmed dead and several trapped inside. Now, according to monitored reports, the building which caved in and collapsed is situated at Oba Idowu Oniru Street by the Ave Maria Hospital near Sandfield Bus Stop, Lekki. The Lagos State government has ordered the arrest of the developer and building professionals working on the 7th-floor structure that collapsed at Oba Abiodun Oniru Road in the Iru, Victoria Island area of the state. The Commissioner for Physical Planning and Urban Development, Dr. Idris Salako, made this known during his visit to the site of the building collapse on Sunday. Now, joining us to discuss this is still Mazi Chinedum Obioha, who is still here with us. Mazi, this is another collapse, too many, as we would often say. What exactly is the issue with these incessant building collapses? Is it, the lack of proper approval in terms of planning, or the use of substandard, construction products?
Yeah, thank you once again. I think it's a normal decimal. It has been happening, and it will continue to happen since we failed to do the right thing. I listened to the ASO president last week. He said that we will begin to see more of this building collapse. He talked about half-baked graduates. He talked about not following the due process. He talked about cutting corners. He talked about so many things. Now, I think it was about 2 weeks ago that we also had another story about a building collapsing. Was it last month again? There was one in Kano.
Kano Mall.
Even before then, a few months ago, there was another one in Lagos. So it's normal. Why do I say that? Nobody has been punished for doing the wrong thing. I followed the story yesterday on channels, and they showed it. They said that it was the 3rd floor, and about 6 persons were there. They were able to bring out 2 persons already dead. But there were other people. My question is this: what has been the duties and the responsibilities of integrity test, those who are responsible to do that? SON, that is
Standard
Organization of Nigeria. What are they doing? What about our structural engineers? Are they actually structured? Are they actually qualified? What about our engineers, civil engineers? What about structural engineers? Then you are asking me too many questions. What about, are we sure that the proper quality materials are being used? Cement, the gravel, the sand, the mixture. Who now can say these things were tested and confirmed to have made the standard? It's not today. And yet the government will only here have been arrested, under investigation, probing. Nothing has come out of it. And people are dying. And also heard that it was marked for demolition. But people were still there. And people were still working. I mean, were they working at night? But they were working during the daytime. And people were seeing it. Government officials were seeing it. Even before then, who gave the approval of the foundation? So these are too many questions that are begging for answer. And I'm not here to give that answer. It is the government that's supposed to tell us what is actually happening.
So does it mean that there's culpability on the part of the government? Because if you look at some of the questions you've just raised now, look at the 21-story building in Ikoyi
yes,
that also collapsed recently. We've not made any headway in terms of arresting people, asking the right questions and getting to the root cause of all of this. And now, yes, we know that the police have said that they've ordered the arrest of the developers and
when would that arrest be made?
Exactly. Does it mean that there are some people who are the top, shots who are involved in all of this crime?
Generally speaking, Nigeria is sick. Nigeria is terribly sick. The same thing is happening now. Which area that is working perfectly or near perfect? We discussed about the mosque that was attacked, and the man was killed. 2 other persons were killed. We talked about insecurity every now and then. We also heard that so many people were arrested. This is not the first time. This is not the second time. This is not even the 100th times we are hearing about building collapsing. And we hear this. Nothing has been done. It's because nobody has been held responsible. Have you gone to the Ministry of Land and Survey? What is happening there? Have you gone there? In Ministry of Lands and Survey, there are so many departments,
yes,
right? So, approval plans. Before you get the approval, okay, let me shock you. Do you know that even during COVID, I'm not that trying to that. Somebody told me that he was not given vaccine, but he was given certificate, right? So many things happened. The same thing here. Who approved the building plan? The quantity survey. What about the structural engineers? Who is sure? Have they been brought together? Have they been arrested? We have heard that the police say that they are going to make arrests. They will arrest, nothing will come out of it. Something is fundamentally wrong in the system. We have a systematic failure in the country. That is why it will be the normal thing. Just like it's no longer a news. Boko Haram killed, bandit disease, kidnappers kidnapped. It's no longer a news. People are no longer interested. People are no longer interested. It's how many? 20. So the same thing happened. Before you know it, before I'm not predicting doom anywhere. It will not be long you hear another building collapsing because nobody has been held responsible. That's the issue.
Beyond being held responsible, we have to look at the greed of the developers or those,
the contractors,
those in charge of the buildings. And you also have to look at the place of corruption within the government agencies in terms of the approval of these plans. You just talked about it, that who is approving these plans. You can have a contractor take a building plan of probably a 2-story building for approval, and after being approved, he erects 4 5-story buildings, and on the same plan. So you now go there and you just see government officials mark a building for demolition 1 year after it is still there, still standing. The question is, how effective can the government be in tackling these issues? It's not just about marking those buildings for demolition. We had India demolish 32-story buildings, just about 2 days ago as a result of violation. So if we have contractors or developers and what have you consistently going against the plans they've been given in terms of the approved plans, or probably a 2-story building and erecting 4 5, why shouldn't the government get to the extreme rather than just mark the buildings for demolition?
It's because who is the government?
Well, the state government in this place.
I don't know people working there.
Yes.
Government is not the building, right? The government are the people working there. People that are saddled with the responsibility. Given assignment, this is what you're supposed to do. When I was building my small hut in the village some years back, maybe I don't know how old you were then, when I was buying a bag of cement at 7 naira. Yes. And I molded my block, I think 15, 20, the height was 25 blocks per cement, per bag. Recently, last year, early this year, I molded one of 35 highest. I said, don't go beyond 35. But even industrial production, you get 80, 100, only sand. The same thing. What about the roads? it is still another things. Who is responsible? So we are saying it is because some people have been compromising what they're supposed to say, and this is the right thing. When you don't get people who say this is the right thing must be done, it's because they compromise their offices. They at the expense of Nigerians' lives. So that is what is happening. Nobody's interested. We talk about building, maybe the foundation is maybe for two-story or three-story building, right? Fine. But you come to see that they will go for amendment and through back doors and front doors and get other things. Go ahead. They will not come and mark stop work. It will be there 2, 3, 4 years until people started living there. Or people, so unless we get people who are doing this evil prosecuted, jail them, but it is difficult in Nigeria because how many of them?
You know, Mazi, there was a video that was circulating earlier in the year about a man who was in another country. I can't remember the country now. He was, you know, holding a block and then he smashed it on the ground and it didn't scatter. And so he was comparing it with the Nigerian block that you don't even have to, you know, exert so much force for it to scatter. And he was talking about the quality of the blocks that we mold in Nigeria compared to other countries, and you just talked about it now. So it means that it goes beyond even all of the approvals and all of that. There's also the quality control issue, which the standard organization
quality control organization who's supposed to be, assign somebody who is going to supervise that. How many of them do you see? You don't see them. You don't see them. So I remember somebody mentioned during last week, because of the traffic along Kara Bridge and the Long Bridge, this thing here. Beggar. He said, beggars of those days, they don't see. What about the road construction you are doing? Go to Abawale Road, Abawale Old Akote Road, where I live. They repaired it last year. No, early this year. Go now and see it. The quality control. People now give it to their political associates as a compensation, and they can do whatever. What about this iron? There was a time I was in the Bank of the North who was sponsoring one project. Now, do you know what happened? Even this road we talk about, are they properly the same measurement required? No. You get a rod that's supposed to be 1 inch. But you find that it's 0.858. It's not up to that. The same thing. Every corruption has taken place in anywhere. Corruption has eaten deep to the marrows, to the water stream, everywhere above our bodies, corruption. So until people who are called by my name will stand up and say enough is enough, you are giving. What about the owner of the building? If the contractors you gave said no, you said, look, this is my standard. This is my standard. Follow my specification. And the Ministry of Lands and Survey should be coming to inspect it. The quality survey people should be also coming to see what they are supervising. And there will be quality control certificate, stage by stage. It has met the standard. You have now used the proper gauge. That's what they use. Proper measurement. But those things are not done. And that is why you talk about cement. What about sand? What about the gravel? What about the steels used? Are they of the same specified qualities? Specification. They say no. After all, the Nigerian system has destroyed this country, and that is what is happening. How come? You mentioned about 21-story building that was supposed to be 15-story building. 15-story building, yes. Look at this one now. Now, when they were erecting those buildings, the government officials were they sleeping? Were they not going there?
There were reports that some, government officials were investors in that project.
That's what I'm saying now.
That's the Koyi building.
Even this one, is it only this one? So many of them. So that is why even people are afraid. Look at my governor, with due respect to my excellency, Governor Ibazo. look at that ordinary flyover that is started in 2015. Now he has not been able to commission it, and people are afraid. People call it terrible because of poor standard, poor quality of materials. Even look at the drainages we are building, even here in Lagos. Are they of the same standard of those? Look at the is it Kata Bridge? Look at the second, the third mainland bridge. Quality when God was being feared in Nigeria, but now God is nobody fears not God again now. You see, look at the buildings or the roads constructed by the former Lagos State Governor. That's Jakonde. Those roads are still there, even though because of lack of maintenance, they worn out now. They've even gone bad. But look at those. I remember in Umahia, the roads, the streets, in Umahia were constructed by the whipping governor. No. You know the whipping governor, Sir Onona Kambakwe. They are still good there. But look at the recent one being constructed. So what we are saying now is that people are not held responsible, and that is why we are getting this thing. And many lives are being lost because the government are not interested about. They don't value your life. They don't value my life. That is why. When it's no longer news, doesn't bother them when somebody dies. So even the landlords themselves, So the landlords are not even, they want to do.
So what's the way out of this? Exactly. If those who are supposed to uphold the law and see that things are done right are also culpable?
The same thing you asked me that last week. The way out is we have to do the thing. We have to do that which is good. Do the right thing.
Who are the people who will do the right thing?
People must be in place. Do you know that this qualification, education is not the best test of knowledge? Examination is not the best test of knowledge, right? So we should de-emphasize on qualification. I remember in those days when we left secondary school, 1973, 74. The judges were there. You will be put on practice. Because I attended comprehensive secondary school, I can write shorthand very, very well. Look, come. You say you can write shorthand. Go. Newspaper. Bring newspaper. Dictate for you. Write. Give you typewriter. You transcribe. And you see it. Practical experience is important. Let us de-emphasize education, paper qualification, but emphasize quality, emphasize, integrity. Integrity is key. Not integrity of this the government is preaching now, because there's no integrity. Otherwise, why should we be hearing this? Who has ever been, prosecuted? And we say this is the one. We are having problems.
But when you say practical, practical, that would take us back to our institutions, especially the tertiary institutions. We know that most of our education
is
theoretical and not practical.
That is what ASO is crying now. Okay. Yes, I agree with you. I have somebody who read mass communication. He has never appeared on air, even when in school. I know somebody who finished as a medical doctor, he doesn't know how to give injection. I know somebody who read computer science, he cannot even operate computer. I know some of them who finished, go to computer village. You see, you want me to go further? I will continue to go further. So what about lawyers? A lawyer will write a script. My own lawyer, I looked at him, I said, anytime I give him an assignment, I'm the one who now draft and give him to reprove and include their legal terms and things like that. It is like that, all professional around. So because the quality of education has been bastardized, look at 7 months now down the line, 7 years now down the line. Students on strike. By the time
months down the line.
Yes, by the time they call it off, the next 2 weeks now, examination. And what do you expect? Even the ASO president said, those students, those schools that have called off the strike, and they've not given them examination. He said, you use the computer science as a case study. He said, you are setting examination for a student who is studying computer science, you are giving him objective.
Okay, Maze, let's look at it this way. You know, for all of these talks of substandard use of substandard products being used in construction and all of that, shouldn't the government also take the fight, not just to the developers and contractors, but also these companies that produce these products? Because if these companies, you know, adhere to the standard, you know, metrics of producing these substances, it makes it easier to get quality products in the market. But the fact that people can lay their hands on substandard products, it means that you also have companies that are culpable in producing substandard goods. Now, I'm not talking about the measurement. I know with, you know, the congregates and all of that, you have people who probably 2 bags of cement to maybe 10 kilos of sand, for example. They try to, you know, play around that. But I'm talking about the product itself. You talked about the iron rods and what have you. Shouldn't the government also take that fight to, you know, the companies? And that would be where the Standard Organization of Nigeria comes in terms of ensuring that the companies that produce these building materials also produce quality products.
Cost of production is very high. Cost of production. And every business, the objective and aim
to make profit.
To make profit. I'm not sure you run this your studio on NEPA. It's on diesel. How much is a liter of diesel now?
Over 800 naira.
That's right. And they have to remain afloat. They have to remain in business. For them to make a breakthrough, they have to reduce the quality to remain afloat. I read somewhere that by next week or some time to come, that the banks will now begin to
reduce the number of hours of operations.
Already.
Fine, because they cannot. If the production, how many producing companies or manufacturing companies, how many are there still remaining? They've shut down because of high cost. The overhead cost is expensive. Now, even the cost of the landing cost of these materials are something else. How much is the cost of clearing goods from Apapa to Lagos? How much is it? In those days, 90s. Yes, 90s. 4-footer, that's what they call it now, container from Apapa to here, 10,000, 9,000. But how much is it today? 300 something thousand. More than that. This.
But that's not a good reason to produce.
No, let me tell you, they must, is because they are not being checked. Nobody is supervising them. Nobody. They have quality department in each company, and I'm sure that those departments have been shut down because they have to reduce cost. I read some. Okay, let me not mention the place. In the bank now, when I was in the bank, you have people on the counter. We have accountant, we have supervisor, we have serving supervisor, we have all these things. But today, a cashier can handle so many things. Even the customer service department can. One person, I remember I went to one of the banks, they were complaining. It's because of cost of living. It's because of the cost of production. Because they can, for them to remain in business, they, let me not mention, what about this cracker biscuit we are eating about?
Well, of course, it goes.
So it goes beyond that.
Yeah,
so even I opened one.
We have to wrap up, Mazi.
I opened one, ordinary biscuit. I opened one that used to be 4, it's 3 now. And how many? I normally eat 2, but I can eat 4. My wife came back and said that even her colleagues in the office eat 8. So it's because things are very expensive. So that is why they try to reduce the quantity.
And there's no one to check.
And then there's no one to check. So that's the problem. So for us to get it right, the right people must be in place. One, there must be check and balances. There must be, people must be disciplined for doing the wrong thing. And then encouragement. People must be encouraged. The welfare of people should be encouraged.
Incentives,
to the right. Incentive is important.
Yeah. Thank you
the
so
welfare
much.
of people is important.
Thank you so much, Mazi Chinedum Obioha, the birthday celebrant. So thank you for your time on the show this morning.
It's my pleasure.
We'll take a breather now. We'll be right back. Don't go anywhere.